Behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed. To you it shall be for food. Genesis 1:29. Man did eat angels' food. He sent them meat to the full. Psalm 78:25. Everyday Manna with Lisa.
Hi everybody, and welcome to Everyday Manna. Today we are going to be making turkey sloppy joes, which are delicious and a healthy alternative to beef. To go alongside that, we're going to make an easy, quick, simple broccoli slaw. And then for dessert, we're going to have butterscotch cookies, which is where we're going to start because they take the longest. We've got our oven preheated to 375 degrees, and I've got 2 baking sheets that I have lined with the non-stick foil. If you have parchment paper, you could use parchment paper. I do that for ease of cleanup, and plus it helps the cookies not to stick. And I love the new non-stick foil that's out on the market. Now in my mixer, and I'm using my stand mixer for this, but if you don't have a stand mixer, you can use the little hand mixer with the little beaters on there. It's perfectly fine. I've got 2 sticks of salted or unsalted butter that I have brought to room temperature, and you can't really see down in that bowl, but I'm going to just whip that up along with a 1/2 cup of sugar, just plain white sugar, and then a cup of packed brown sugar. And I'm just going to beat that, start it out on low, and then I'm going to turn it up to high until it's really light and fluffy. Once that's kind of mixed up, takes a couple of minutes in this mixer, I'm going to add eggs, 2 eggs, 1 at a time. Make sure that the one is beaten in before you add the next one. And my mother likes me to crack them in a separate bowl, so that's what I'm doing. Add that second egg in. And then add 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract. I'm going to turn it back down just a little bit because I don't want to wear the vanilla here. Just going to kind of let that go for just a second. In this bowl, I've got 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Oops. And I always use fresh nutmeg. I use this just a little rasp grater. You want about 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. If you don't have a fresh nutmeg and all you have is the ground, then you can add about 1/2 teaspoon. But I like the fresh nutmeg better. I think it has better flavor. And it grates perfectly fine with one of these little box graters, and instantly you get that perfume of that nutmeg. And it's delicious. This is a very good cookie. And if you are a fan of those, you know, the little hard candies that you can get that are the butterscotch candies, you are gonna love this cookie. If you like those little butterscotch candies, and I do, then you are really, really gonna love these cookies. I don't have a whisk up here or a sifter, so all I use is a whisk and just lightly get that all together. And then with your mixer on low, add your flour, about 1/3 of it at a time until it gets incorporated. If you have this thing on high, you are going to be wearing flour. So I always start it on low, and then once I get it in there, I'll turn it up. I usually do it in about 3 different batches. I love my mixer. And then when you get it down just a little bit, take the time to scrape down the sides of your bowl, because sometimes the mixture will stick to the sides. And we're just going to beat that in till it's nice and smooth. And I'll show you what this looks like when I get it done. Okay. In this bowl, I have 3 cups of the old-fashioned rolled oats. I would not use the quick cook. I just like the old-fashioned rolled oats. There's 2 different kinds, if you didn't know that, in the cereal aisle. There's the quick cook, which is like a 1-minute thing, and they're just a little bit too processed for me, but these are just the plain old-fashioned 5-minute oats. You don't need to buy the fancy steel cut oats or any of that. To this, I'm gonna add about 1/2 cup of just mini chocolate chips, and then 1.5 cups of butterscotch chips that you buy in the baking section of your grocery store. Just kind of get all that combined. Then we're gonna fold that into this cookie dough that's in our mixer. Turn it on low and just slightly fold this in. You can buy, if you have one of these mixers, I don't have one, I'd like to get one. A little pouring spout that goes on the outside would be a handy little thing to have. But if you don't mind taking your time, this works beautifully. Just fold this into your cookie dough. Now this is a very stiff dough, but that's okay. That's why I like the mixer for it, because this mixer does a great job of folding in thick doughs. And that's it. And your dough, look at it. Oh, can you see how beautiful? Take your beater off of your mixer. Don't want to waste that dough, that's for sure. And then just get it off the paddle. And I always, no matter what I'm doing in my stand mixer, I always use a spatula at the end and kind of go around it just for a second. This is a very, very sticky dough, but that's okay. You see how, I'm gonna show you real quick before I fold it in. You see how there's a little bit of flour still there? Well, sometimes you'll have that in these mixers, but that's okay. Just take a rubber spatula and go down and make sure it's all incorporated. And there's your cookie dough. It's that easy to put it together. That just takes minutes. Then on your baking sheets, line them, 2 of them, because you don't want to overcrowd. I just use 2 spoons. Now, if you have an ice cream scoop that measures about 2 ounces, then you can by all means use that. But I just use my spoons. And then you just want to, the reason I have 2 is that I can scoop it off and then just put it on there in rounded spoons full. This is one of those times you can make them as big or as little as you like. And then just place them. You see how I've got them spaced about 2 inches apart? That's what you want. This would be a great recipe to make for your kids to have as a snack when they come home from school, because you are getting the oatmeal. They feel like they're getting a treat, but yet you're still getting the oatmeal. I made that one a little bit too big. If you have an ice cream scoop that you measure out, that's a great, if you make a lot of cookies, that really would be a good tool for you to buy, because that way you get perfectly matched, even cookies. But you know what? This is home cooking, and sometimes they're not perfectly the same size, and that's okay. And you just want to put them out on 2 baking sheets. Bake them at 375 for about 8 or 10 minutes a piece, the sheet trays, until they just get golden, but they're still kind of soft, but not gooey. I'll show you when they get done. So we want to put these in a 375-degree oven. That's all I'm going to do over the break, is just put this onto that sheet and get them in the oven. Then we're going to start on our turkey sloppy joes. I'll be right back. And welcome back. Now our cookies are in the oven, and I have got a skillet here with about a little over a pound of ground chicken. Now you could substitute chicken or turkey, either one will work in this recipe. I call them turkey sloppy joes, but this morning when I went to the store, quite honestly, my chicken looked better than the turkey. So I bought the chicken, and it's perfectly fine to use either one in this recipe. And you want to brown it up over medium-high heat in your skillet. Now, it's a very lean meat, so I am going to pour just a little bit of olive oil in there just to keep it from sticking, because it is very, very lean as opposed to like beef. Now, we've made beef sloppy joes before, and they're good, and I really like them. But I like the chicken or the turkey, I think, even better than the beef. To that, we're going to add an onion to our dish, and we're going to saute it right in there with the turkey, just a good amount of onion, whatever you like. I like about a small onion, but if you like a lot of onion, feel free to add more. You could also grate it if you wanted to. But the onion adds flavor, and it adds some moisture to the turkey. So we're going to add this right in, or chicken, whichever you're using. It's a healthy, healthy dish. Now, many of you have only ever had sloppy joes that you make with the canned, pre-made up sauce stuff that people buy in the grocery stores. And I promise you, this takes about the same amount of time and tastes infinitely better. So once you make these homemade, you're never going to buy that little can thing again, because it is, oh, so much better and really and truly so much healthier for you. This is an excellent recipe if you are watching your carb count. I actually cooked at a diabetes expo one year, and I made this recipe there at the expo. It's that carb friendly. So if that's something that you watch, this is the recipe for you. We're going to add some onion, some green pepper. If you have a red pepper, you can add red pepper, whichever. You want to mince it kind of fine though, because you don't want to have great big chunks. This is a sandwich. You can serve it open-faced, or you can serve it over, as a sandwich. Sloppy joes are meant to be just that, a sloppy sandwich, but they are so very, very good. And then dice it kind of fine. I need my bigger knife for this, but that's okay. And then I like to take my knife and run across just to make sure that my pieces are fine. And we're just going to add it right into the onion and the ground chicken, because it will just add flavor to that chicken and be delicious. I smell those cookies, and oh, they smell so very, very good. So good. Stir that in. I've got my skillet on medium-high heat. And you want to make sure that you cook this all the way through, that there's no pink left in the meat. Well, no matter what you're using, if you're using chicken, turkey, or beef for that matter. And by all means, if you want to substitute beef in here, I would use a lean ground beef, like an 85% or leaner ground beef in here. Because you don't want to have a bunch of drippings to drain off, because that really, when you're sauteing your onions and green pepper in there, if you drain it off, you're draining away a lot of the flour, or flavor. So I would use a very, very lean beef if you're going to substitute beef. And you can, if that's what you want. We want to add some salt, just a little bit, maybe half a teaspoon or so. And some fresh ground pepper. And this is my little bowl of fresh ground pepper. Remember, we did this on an earlier show in our spice mill or coffee grinder, whichever you have. Grind up enough to last you a few days, and it's there. Oh, and there's my timer on my cookies. So let's go look at the cookies. They've been in there 8 minutes. Let's see if they're ready to go while this is browning up. And I'll show you what you're looking for. They take about 8 to 10 minutes. So let's go check on our cookies. Hold on here. Let's grab a pot holder. Let's see how they look. Oh, look at them. Can you see? They've spread out. They need a minute more, but what I'm gonna do is rotate my pans. And I think they're probably gonna need about 3 or 4 more minutes, and then they'll be done. So let's set our timer back for about 4 minutes. Get back to our turkey sloppy joes. This just is a quick, easy dinner that you can make any night of the week. You know, on your busiest day, when you come home and you're tired, but yet you still have to get dinner on the table. Now, I don't have any pink left in any of my chicken. So now is when you want to add your flavor components. I'm going to use the pre-minced up garlic, enough to be about 2 teaspoons of garlic, or 2 cloves of garlic, excuse me, to where it's about 2 cloves. Then I'm going to add some chili powder, about a teaspoon or so, 1 to 2 teaspoons, whatever you like, because that's a really important flavor in this. And I like to stir in my spices before I add any liquid, because the oils in the pan bloom those spices and help bring out the flavor. Would not add my garlic too early, because if you do, it could burn. I'm turning my heat down because now I'm gonna add my liquids and it needs to simmer. You want 1 8-ounce can of tomato sauce, just a small 8-ounce can of tomato sauce, about 2 teaspoons of brown sugar, and by all means, if you're watching your sugar intake, you could substitute the brown sugar substitute. Perfectly fine in this dish. And then we're gonna add some hot sauce, just to taste, about 8 or 10 drops is my taste. You add as much or as little as you like, and if you don't like hot sauce, you do not have to put it in. Here's an essential part of this dish. This is just a bottled chili sauce that you buy, and you want about ½ a cup. And that adds that flavor. Oh, and it just makes it so good. Turn it down to low, and this needs to simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes. And there's homemade turkey or chicken sloppy joes. I'll be back with you in just 1 minute, and we're gonna start on our broccoli slaw.
Baby, tell me, where'd you ever learn to fight without saying no word? Then walks back into my life like it's all gonna be alright. Don't you know how much it hurts when we don't talk, when we don't touch, when it doesn't feel like we're even in love? It matters to me when I don't know what to say, don't know what to do, don't know if it really even matters to you. How can I make you see it matters to me? When I don't know what to say, don't know what to do, don't know if it really even matters to you. How can I make you see it matters to me?
Gotta get that. Oh, I must be careful. That's a nice picture.
Come on, Anna.
Okay.
Foreclosure doesn't affect just you. It affects your whole family, too. If you've fallen behind on your mortgage, we can help. Call 1-888-995-HOPE, because nothing is worse than doing nothing.
I hope the days come easy and the moments pass slow, and each road leads you where you wanna go. And if you're faced with a choice and you have to choose, I hope you choose the one that means the most to you. And if one door opens to another door closed, I hope you keep on walking till you find the window. If it's cold outside, show the world the warmth of your smile. But more than anything, my wish for you is that this life becomes all that you wanted to. Your dreams stay big, your worries stay small. You never need to carry more than you can hold. And while you're out there getting where you're getting to, I hope you know somebody loves you and wants the same things too. Yeah, this is my wish. May all your dreams stay big.
Hey, and welcome back. Now here's our cookies. They are done, and all I did, see how much they spread out? And all I did was take them off the sheet pan and put them on a cooling rack to get done. And those would be delicious with a glass of milk for the kids and a great big wonderful cup of coffee for the adults. And I would love to have some coffee with those cookies. You could serve those with ice cream on the side. It just is a fabulous, fabulous cookie recipe. And again, if you like those little butterscotch mints, you are gonna love this cookie. But while those are cooling and our turkey sloppy joes, chicken sloppy joes, whatever kind of poultry you're using there, they're just simmering away and it smells so good. So we're gonna make a little bit of a broccoli slaw to go alongside. Now I'm just gonna make my dressing in the bottom of the bowl here to avoid dirtying up another dish. You know, it's just one of those things that you make it to your like, however much you like. So I'm gonna add about 1/3 of a cup or so of mayonnaise. And I like the mayonnaise that has the olive oil in it. That's my preference, but you get what you like. And then about 1/3 of a cup of apple cider vinegar, about 2 or 3 teaspoons of just sugar, and you can use sugar substitute, and a couple of teaspoons of celery seed. Now, this is something that a lot of people don't use, but I love it in coleslaw. It's just a little small seed, it's celery seed. I happen to like it. Now, it's one of those things that is kind of strong flavored, but I really love celery, so I use it in my coleslaw and in this broccoli slaw, in my potato soup, and in a lot of things. Add some salt and pepper to taste, about a teaspoon or so of salt, half a teaspoon or so of pepper. Could it be easier? Buy a bag of the broccoli slaw that you buy in the produce section where you get the coleslaw or salad mixes. Broccoli slaw. You could substitute regular coleslaw mix if you wanted to, but I happen to really like the broccoli slaw. It's very good and it's different, and it's something, you know, that your family needs. It's a good way to get vegetables in your family. I love it. It's really good. I'm making a mess here, as we do oftentimes in our kitchens, don't we? To that, I'm gonna add about half a cup of chopped walnuts. Walnuts are a very healthy thing for your family to eat, and this is a good way to get that extra crunch and the extra nutrients that are in walnuts. You could add some dried cranberries in here if you liked them, or raisins if you like raisins. Anything like that. You know, this is really just kind of a starting point. I would so think that a diced up apple in that would be delicious. I make a broccoli slaw with, I don't put the cider vinegar in the other recipe, but I put apple in it. But it would be delicious to have an apple in here. Just a great, great little instant coleslaw side dish for your family. This will keep a couple of good days in the refrigerator. So make the full recipe, even if it's just you. And then serve it alongside your sloppy joe that we're gonna eat here in just a minute. But there you go, that's just a quick, easy slaw mixture for your family. Now here is our sloppy joes. This is, I'm using chicken, but you could use chicken or turkey. Either one would be delicious in here. We've sauteed that with some onion and green pepper and garlic and chili powder, chili sauce, tomato sauce, and I add a little bit of hot sauce because I like a little heat to mine, but you don't have to if you don't want to. However you like your heat level is what you would need to do. Let me get this other spoon here. Now I'm serving these on these wonderful little sandwich thins that you can buy now in the stores. But if you want to use the soft, fluffy hamburger bun kind of thing, by all means. But these little sandwich thins are a great, great thing to use if you are watching your carb intake. There's not as many carbs in these as there are in the full hamburger bun kind of thing. And then just put that on there, and you could serve it. If you really need to watch your carb content, just use one of them and do it open face and use a knife and a fork. Or you can top it with your little topping, the little top part of the bun. You could add pickles to this. You could add